Dude, that's the first time I've seen the intro. That one. That's pretty sick. Can you hear me? You there? Manny.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Am I echoing?
No, you're not echoing. It's just like really delayed now. It's like, robot. Must be my computer. I'll get a better computer in here for the next one. The studio's not set up yet, man.
It's happening. We're gonna put a new DeEEP neon sign.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, we got. Oh, it's actually getting delivered today.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, so I'm choppy. Is my voice coming through fine?
Your video is choppy, but I hear your voice just fine.
Great. So we'll go with that. As long as people don't have like a stroke from watching my video too much. But I'm going to start with this little picture that I put up today, just so everybody knows. And Manny, so you know, the bears are dead. Okay, the bears are dead. That is what that picture is dead bear. It's not that there's a bear market coming. It's a dead bear.
I read it as a bear market coming. I saw a 2-day chart, and it was like the, double top next resistance or support is at 60K. This is just a big McDonald's. And then I saw your bear picture. I was like, it's a bear market. It's happening.
We got some people joining. So sorry. When you get in, go ahead and I don't know if we have questions already queued up. I'm sure Rusty has a few. But we'll just chat about a little bit of stuff here as we go forward, and then ask your questions. We'll get to them. All right, Brad's on. I just talked to Brad this morning. Did our little High Velo podcast this morning with Brad. So Brad was great on there. Brad was he's talking up deep, and he's just like, afterwards he messaged me. He's like, man, I talked about you guys a lot. I'm like, that's why I love you, dude. Yeah, it was a really good podcast. It was a really good podcast. So it kind of started slow, and then it really picked up as we got it flowing. We had the conversations back and forth, so it ended up being really good. So
Nate, can you accept Rusty? He's trying to join the stream.
Is he? I don't see him. Oh, there he is. I'm on my stupid little laptop, so the screen's tiny, and I'm like, oh, let me pull it. There you are. You're down there.
Can you hear me?
We got you, Rusty. We got you. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing well. Long time no see.
Yeah, 30 minutes.
Where's that beautiful camera?
Oh, better put that on, right?
There it is. Hey, you all get to see Rusty. There he is. Yeah, man.
That boat in the background looks like Minnesota or Wyoming area or something like that. It doesn't look like Florida, is my point.
No,
it's Florida.
No, this is Wisconsin.
Yeah, see? I was going to say, that doesn't look like alligator territory.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Rusty live. Like, not many people get to see that. Rusty's like, he's hidden in the shadows. So
it was such a nice day up to like an hour ago. I was going to go fishing later tonight, but now it's raining.
You can fish in the rain.
I'm
going fishing tomorrow. Oh, so excited. Float in the river, smallmouth bass fishing, maybe have a few beers. It's going to be great. So, well, let's get to it. We got our first question in here from BC. So I'll let Rusty, since he's new on this going on here, why don't you answer this for him, Rusty?
Yeah. Hey, newbie here. Got a DeEEP device and it's online, but I have no idea if I'm supposed to start any Stratums, nodes, or wallets. No idea if it's working or if I'm learning anything. So Stratums are for ASICs. These aren't an ASIC. You're going to plug the DeEEP device in, and you're going to go on the DeEEP dashboard, which you can get in our official links. And as long as you see it's alive once a day and you see days online ticking up, you're good to go. You do not have to create a wallet. We created an embedded wallet for you right in the dashboard. So I hope that answers your question, unless you have any other questions.
We'll start with that.
We need to address the days online thing. The problem is that this has been trying to be fixed, and every time Ben is really close to fixing it, something happens, and then he has to go do something else. So essentially, we have 3 systems that are keeping up the uptime, but they need to talk to each other seamlessly. And right now, they're all siloed. And so every time he tries to have them all synchronized, something happens, and then he has to jump off and finish that other more important task. And that's why we're still seeing that issue that we see every day in the Discord. Hey, is my node working?
Well,
It says
technically
it's offline.
he has it fixed. He just has to push out the update to all the devices. So, and that just takes a
Right.
little bit of time. So it's fixed. It's there. It just needs to be pushed out to all those other devices. So,
And it would have been live pretty much this week if it wasn't for just other more important Ben things.
yes. Yeah. Unexpected things that happened, unfortunately. So, Bradley from DPIN Connections got a few questions here, which is great. So, when will opening ports start to impact rewards? So the sequence of events is going to be this, and this is kind of goes into your other expected TGE date. We put out in the Discord, it'll be in, before fall, like fall time frame. So fall technically runs all the way till December 21st. I jokingly put into the Discord. So, but once TGE happens, there's going to be a time frame where we need to let the token get into the ecosystem and then be bought by NerdNode to then actually pay for these workloads to be ran on the DeEEP ecosystem. So you got to give it about 30 days. That's also a time frame for like people to spin up a liquidity pool somewhere if they want to on a decentralized exchange and that kind of stuff. Once those workloads are paid for, that's when we're probably going to start to see the ports being opened for that to impact rewards. So that's kind of a time frame that'll be there. So people will have time as they see TG coming to be like, ooh, I better get my crap together and just go start doing that. So hope that answered that question for you. So I kind of answered the TGE one that he had that's down below. And then he also has, when will the next round of hardware sales be open? So as we've talked about before, we have, a balancing act in DeEEP, which is we only sold 1,776 because we didn't want to flood the market with too many devices and actually give out those shared earning rewards to the device owners. And our goal is to maintain a between 40 and 60% capacity within the devices themselves. And so as we approach that 60% capacity on the device, on the network itself, then we will start to open up sales that will go for the specific hardware. Do we say anything else about that?
Well, we do need to mention that the next sales, the licenses are not included. So if you have a founder's freedom device, okay, we'll need to make a governance DAC vote on that terminology. But if you have founder's device, freedom device, you already have a license. The next batch of hardware won't. So we could do a sale on the licenses, and that basically reserves your ability to buy the next device.
Yeah. So, and what that does for us, so kind of explain that, this wasn't specifically asked, but it kind of goes into this question here is there's a lead time, and we're going to get Chris to do a full write-up on how the devices, when we put in for a certain amount of devices at the manufacturer, we have to put money down on that and, reserve those for that. And then there's a lead time of 12 weeks, or is it 12 or 16 weeks of lead time from that point in time to when they create, develop, and can ship and deploy that to the people. So what we want to do is we want to get those people in line. So it's a much more streamlined process of now have the software to pair with that device. And we're also trying to work with the actual manufacturer to potentially, we don't know if this is going to happen, so take it with a grain of salt. But one of our goals is to make it so you'll actually just go to that manufacturer's website, and with that DIN, the DIN NFT that you're going to purchase, you'll have that and you'll log in and buy that device there, and then they'll ship it directly from that. So it'll actually streamline the service as well as we go through that process. And when I expect us to start to see the software, the DIN NFTs will probably go on sale next month. Wait, we're in June? Yeah, we're in June. Whew. forget my dates, in July. And then we'll start to see those next, we'll probably get to the point of capacity in that September timeframe. So this is why we're looking at the software going on sale now, and then the actual hardware will be bought and deployed in that August to September timeframe. That's kind of where we're seeing things in terms of network expansion and everything else. So
The other good part is that if you buy your license ahead of time, you don't have to, drop 1,300 or whatever the price is at once. You already paid for the license, so then it'll be like the hardware will just be left for when it's live.
yeah, and there's some cool stuff that we're going to do with that. Like you're going to see, we're going to actually put artwork with these. So we've been kind of dropping a little bit in terms of the Discord so people can see that. So we're actually going to drop the artwork with this as well. So all you Founders device owners, you will get your DIN NFT dropped to your wallet. And then you'll also see your DIN NFT will then be deployed on your dashboard. So instead of it just saying a device, it'll show that actual artwork of that DIN NFT on there as well. So kind of some kind of cool behind the scenes things coming. And those DIN NFTs that are sold after the Founders, those will be tradable. Like you can buy some and then trade them to somebody else and do whatever you want to do with them. But in order to purchase the hardware, you will have to have that software to purchase the hardware. So
Yeah, and with that, we've talked a lot about. We started these threads on the intricacies of the DIN license and how it works, because people like traits. There could be names that are very rare, right? Like you could have a DIN license that is a dragon, for example, and there could only ever be 5 DeEEP devices with dragon name. Like you can get pretty cool traits like this. The thing is, if someone uses that license and they can resell it later, like that data will be there. So it kind of makes it tricky. Like, what if this license has, I don't know, 2 months already of used plugin rewards? You could buy it and you could use it, but then you only have 10 months of plugin rewards, things like that. So there's like, do we pair it with the hardware itself? Do we create the name, but it's not tied to the hardware, so it could be more tradable? There's like all these little factors that go into how do we do the contract. Nate, you look really blown out. What's going on?
I know. I was like, well, what's going on here?
Yeah.
My whole computer is all funky. Maybe I'll take the background off. Maybe that'll help. I'll let let's see.
You let the workshop.
I'll let one of you two answer the delegation of the grid. And let me see if I can figure my background out.
So
You go.
So
I'll check the price.
the binaries get released. We're expecting on the 5th, in which everyone will be able to run grid nodes, no matter if it's through a VPS such as NerdNode, or if you're going to try to do it on your own. So once they give us the binaries, Ben's going to be cranking away on some code, probably less than a day, and then we'll be able to spin up those workloads for everybody right away. Everybody who bought the bundle is entitled to 3 months of free hosting through NerdNode. So we'll take care of that for you. And then also some of those pre-mine rewards, Grid will be crediting all the people who bought the bundle. So there's no issue or disincentive for waiting for us to spin these up, because you're going to get all those rewards.
2 notes. We actually changed it, so anybody will get the 3 months free. So even if you didn't buy the bundle, you'll get the 3 months free. So if you just have a grid node, you can still run it with us for 3 months free. And the way it works is it's $4 for month to month, but if you get the annual plan, it'll be $36. So it's essentially 3 months free.
I think that's the cheapest on the market, Manny, is it not?
It is absolutely the cheapest on the market. Yes.
So that kind of goes into the idea of workloads too, and when are we going to open workloads? So it's a balancing act, and I talked about this on my podcast with Tactical. Is if we come up on 60%, we obviously need to put hardware out there, and if we might have to put it out there fast, so we might have to do some fun stuff to be able to get more hardware out there quicker. The other side is if we're below that 40%. Right, we can be really aggressive with pricing and offerings to different partnerships and things like that are out there to bring those workloads online. So with NerdNode, we have an insanely high retention rate because of what we do. It's in the high 90s of retention rate, so percentage-wise. So people stay on and they don't go away because we do a really good service. So by offering good discounts in the beginning, we know they're going to stay on long term, and we get them on board, and then there they are, and so they fill up everybody's devices. So it's kind of a balancing act that we get to play with, but it's really beneficial to maintain a healthy network. So let's see here, Bob. When should we expect to start seeing workloads or loads? I'm assuming he's saying workloads hitting our devices, or is that already happening? There's testing that's going on in the background. So like permanent workloads, you'll start to see within the next probably 30 days is my guess, maybe sooner. I know we have a timeline internally. So yeah, I would say you're going to start to see those on there. What that shows up on the dashboard, I don't know what they have yet, how that's going to show up to you, Manny. I don't think they've showed any of that.
We do plan on showing you guys like what is running on your DeEEP device.
Right.
But for now, it's not there.
Okay.
Yeah, and the reason, so like the workload, the tricky part is not so much running the workload. It's if your internet goes down, because we're guaranteeing maximum uptime. How does the device or the network send it off again and launch it in another VM in another device automatically? That's like the tricky part that we're solving.
All right. Let's see here. I kind of answered Bob's. He said, "Are we currently at a 60%?" So the 60% is what we mentioned of where we want to. Is that's when we add new hardware. So if we were at 60%, we would be adding more hardware. So we're not at that point in time right now. I don't know the exact number we're at. Once they get workloads deployed out there, we'll see an exact number when it comes through, and everybody will see that. We'll make that so pretty transparent, so everybody can kind of see where we're at in workloads. So, and the way it's going to look is really in terms of virtual machines that people are running within their devices. So. Have you already got? Go. What?
He had also asked. He also asked, "Are you bringing new nodes? To bring more capacity?" Yes, we are. So we have Grid coming online this week, and we got Helix nodes that came online pretty much over the weekend.
Playable was online just a week and a half ago, week ago.
Yeah. So yeah, we're absolutely working on that, and our next, the big one that we're doing right now is validators, because those people pay more for validators and they take up more space. So in theory, you could have a DeEEP device that has, what?
It's Rusty's question.
Rusty, you're right here.
Yes. Someone was having some technical difficulties, but he had some. He's resolved it.
Okay, but yes, we're absolutely like workloads is our number one priority. Yeah. The network infrastructure works, but the real utility is putting the workloads there.
Well, and there's something that we've talked about internally that we really haven't made public a lot, and there's free space. There's even if we're at 60%, you still have 40% of free space there. That is one for failover in case devices go offline. Two, we get a big customer that comes on board and they're going to take a big chunk of that, so we have room to grow into that. And the other is we can utilize that space for other protocols that are out there that are free to run, but they distribute tokens that can be, help to, just bring more income into the ecosystem, into those devices and that kind of stuff. So there's a new one I learned about this morning, which was, I totally forgot. It was on Ping. Yeah. The Ping nodes. So they're a free to run service. We don't want to just run anyone that's out there. We want to kind of vet them and see what they do first and foremost. So, but we're definitely looking into that. Hyvelo, we're going to have some more conversations with them. There were some good talks with them. So there's a lot of, we're constantly talking with different providers. And then there's a litany of ones that you'll start to see come on board that are brand new. Once you start to see workloads actually go to the DeEEP devices, you'll start to see us launching ones that are already live, like Tempe nodes and others that are out there that we're just going to bring online, and it's going to be super, super quick. You'll start to see multiples of those every week come online. And then we'll just be promoting those and having new people sign up with that. So, all right. Workloads, number one priority. That's how everybody gets paid, right? We want that to happen. That's the real world income that we have and that we want to keep making more of. So, MTSS17. Have you already got SEX contracts in spot, centralized exchanges for everybody, for TGE end of year, or will it be on DEX like Uniswap, etc.? So we are going to go the decentralized exchange route once TGE happens, meaning that we're not going to do it. So somebody in the community, if they want to be able to have access to, selling that, they can start up a LP somewhere. We will gladly post it. We will not start an LP. We will, we'll post where that LP is at. We'll help people learn how to put into the LP and that kind of stuff. And we will actually probably fund some from the community fund as well, as we put that through a vote to make sure that there's liquidity in there. NerdNode has to buy it from somewhere. So it is going to be beneficial for somebody to, start a DEX out there. And have we talked to centralized exchanges? Yes. Do we have contracts in place? Yes. We will not do that for a TGE event, though. A lot of these centralized exchanges, they want tokens up front. They want a whole lot of things that really kind of puts pressure on the other people that are out there that are earning it by plugging in their DeEEP devices. The best way for people to actually get what they're wanting to get out of it is through decentralized exchanges. So we're going to go that route. And then once those are live, we will start to work with those centralized exchanges and then put that stuff through there. So when it makes sense for the community. And I know there's some areas where decentralized exchanges, some countries that don't allow decentralized exchanges are very restrictive, but it's the same way with centralized exchanges, right? So it's a balancing act there. But we definitely have them in mind, and we've had talks with them as well. So let's see here. How many DIN NFTs will be released? So the numbers it's like the 500. So essentially the way we're looking at it is in stages. The first 3 sales, I can't remember the exact numbers. But essentially what we're looking at is what we project our potential growth to be. So we don't want to sell, again, we don't want to just sell 10,000 DIN NFTs and just have 10,000 DIN NFTs sitting out there. We want it to be more strategic for the growth of the company. So where it's in stages. So we kind of know that shipping or the manufacturer shipping timeline. And so as that timeline starts to move through, we can actually see what that next month's going to be and the next month after that. And so we can see what our potential growth is going to be. That's always going to adjust depending on different partnerships, people going off, bull market versus bear market, things like that. So, but the first DIN NFT sale is going to have 3 stages in it. Is that right, Manny? I can't forget.
Yeah,
I don't have it in front of me.
3 stages. One of 533 is the first, then 693, and then 901. Those would be like the first 3 upgrades.
Yep. So, and it will be limited in terms of how many people can buy. So it's not like one person can come in and buy all of them. So we're going to limit it as much as we can on who buys what. So there will be some restrictions on that end.
Yeah, we're thinking of at most 5 DIN NFTs per wallet, or less than 5. I mean, you guys let us know what you think. But yeah, we definitely don't want someone to just come or a bot, right? Someone spins up a bot and just buys them all, just flip them.
Yeah. And the reality is, somebody, even if somehow they game the system and they got all those DIN NFTs, when it comes to the fact that we have to deploy hardware and those DIN NFTs aren't in the hands of somebody that's going to buy the hardware, we will have to end up, doing something else. So this is a trial that we're looking at utilizing down that road. We don't see that as being a problem. We see it as a way to kind of involve the crypto side of, this whole ecosystem, and it's kind of a fun way. We get the artwork with it and everything else too. So Nazareth Fox, who wants to take the grid one?
So you do earn the grid token from their ecosystem. You're also, if you paid extra because you have the DeEEP device, you're also, it was essentially the same price as the grid node, but you also got the DeEEP device if you bought the bundle. I'm assuming that's what the question is. So you're also minting DeEEP and also getting hosting rewards from DeEEP and utilization rewards.
Yep. So grid and DeEEP, basically, you're getting both those. So.
And just to be clear, guys, you don't need a grid node to run your DeEEP devices. It's just like a service like Gala or Myra or something like that. It's a different token, a different ecosystem that we're just supporting.
Yeah. So Carl Thomas has, do you have a marketing plan? If so, when does it start? You'll see that starting really, really soon. We just signed a contract with a group that's going to help push out a lot of marketing because we have a bunch of stuff in the summer, like the DIN NFTs. TG is going to be coming up. We have a bunch of workloads that are coming on board that we want to market with. We have something that's going to revolutionize the whole node as a service ecosystem. That's pretty exciting that we'll launch and we'll tell people about soon too. But that's a big marketing part of it as well. So yeah, you'll start to see a lot of that coming into play. Most likely within a week or two, you'll start to see some of that start to drop a little bit more and take some of the load off of Manny's back. So
yeah, we have the content. Now we're expanding towards the reach. So who are the KOLs? Who are the groups out there in the niche ecosystem of DeEEP? We have that. We have a podcast that's going to be sponsored by DeEEP, a DeEEP podcast. They'll be going out every week. So like little things like that are happening. Plus the big thing that Nate is hinting at. That's probably going to be the best one.
That one's fun. I can't wait to talk more in depth with that. We got to flesh some stuff out before we put it out there, and we're reaching out to certain people about it as well. But once we do, you guys will know as well, and it's pretty exciting in terms of the node as a service ecosystem as a whole. So,
and there's little things like just little organic things like Andy wearing the DeEEP hat through Bitcoin Las Vegas, repping us there. Little things like that.
Yeah. The demand for the devices is super, super high right now. Our main focus is all the workloads in the world we're trying to push right now. So that's a big one. See, Jamie, you want to take this, Rusty? I know you were talking with Ben a lot about the slots and whatnot.
Yeah. So there's room for extra hard drive space on the boards through both the traditional M2 slots, which are right on the motherboard. And then also we include an expander that a lot of people ask, what is this? What is this? And what that can do is support U2 hard drives, which are another type of SSD hard drive. So in the future for various workloads, things like validators, they take a lot of storage. So in the future, people are going to maybe potentially want to upgrade some of their DeEEP devices with more storage to be able to allow more workloads on them. I don't know specifically if what kind of requirements we're going to have for those upgrades. If it might be from a DeEEP approved store with authorized serial numbers for various hard drives, or if you'll just be able to slide right in your own M2 or U2 hard drive. But we do have full intentions to allow you guys to make changes and do some upgrades on your devices.
Yeah, and my guess would be we're going to limit it to certain brands and types. But I would say this is 100% as we start to do that would be to, ping us in the Discord of which one you do have or the type that you would prefer, and we can vet those up front to make sure that that's something that we want to work with the devices. And that's really more of a Ben type question. But, anything that you guys have that you want us to utilize, we want to make sure that you don't have to buy new stuff. We want to use your stuff too, as long as we can. So Bob's asking about the free to run test nodes. Will the device owner get the rewards 1-to-1? Will we have a choice on what will run on our devices? So to be completely upfront, we don't know yet. Right. So this is just something we've been talking about internally, and it can go one of two ways where it's we run them in the background and those go to the community fund. Those free to run nodes go to the community fund, which ultimately will end up going to the device owners at some level or not, or it's a split between those and the device owners, or it's just 100% to the device owners. We just decide to push it out and they get all that there. So there's a potential for all those. We haven't ran down the what is actually going to happen, or if we're going to do that yet, because there's the one, you got to vet what we're actually going to put on there. What is the actual token that is going to be derived from that running there on there? And what's the liquidity for that? Is it something that people want? Maybe we do put the options out there, but they're all there. It's something. It's just definitely an opportunity we're exploring for people. So
and one thing to answer there with will you have a choice? Well, that's the point of the DAC, the Decentralized Autonomous Corporation, is you have a proposal, you want to run, Doge on DeEEP, extra space, you can put a proposal on the network, and then every node owner can vote on it. And if the community votes, okay, we're putting Doge in all the extra background spaces that devices have, then yeah, absolutely, the community has a choice, and a voice.
And Bob's next question is on the DIN NFT of BYOD. Bring your own device. If you have a DIN NFT, can you do that? In the beginning, no. It's still going to be the minis forums that we're going to go with, but this is why we're going the DIN NFT route, because our goal is to expand out the type of devices that we allow onto the network. And again, those are things like, if the community has certain devices that they want to use, bring it to the table. We can vet those as we go down the road and we get to that point, because we want people to be able to say, yes, okay, I'm going to use my DIN NFT on my own device I already have. So again, that DIN NFT will allow that in the future. So
yeah, and for now, it's a security risk, essentially. Most devices they don't have the encryption.
Yeah. This is a great one for Rusty. I know he's pushing a lot with community internally. He set up a couple of little community events, and I know he has it in the back of his head to do a few more. So you can talk a little bit on this, Rusty. See what you have in mind.
Yeah, so I was thinking for our next. So we did a community event maybe 2 months ago, I want to say, with the guys from Valley, and we played some games in the Discord, and we gave away some merch. They gave away some of their tokens. The next one I was thinking about doing is kind of doing maybe a show and tell of, hey, show your setup. What do you got going? Do you have any other DeEEP devices or any ASICs? Talk a little bit about some of your home lab setups. And I was thinking that would be the next event. As for games, I love gaming. Nate loves gaming. Manny, he loves gaming. We all love gaming. And as more Web3 games come out and we're partnering with different ones, we'll do our best to have various Discord events with them. I know we're all a big fan of Star Atlas. We'll see where that goes, and other games that are coming out.
Manny, how about you take this one?
Oh, so right now the founders.
We'll read the questions first. Sorry, we'll read the question
how many tokens do we earn daily currently, and what is the max supply? So right now you're in the first tier of devices, the first 10,000, because only 1776 have been sold. So you're earning pretty much 10,000 tokens a month, and that when you divide it, it's about 330 or 333 a day, depending on the month, right?
Yeah.
What does max supply do?
Look in the documents.
I don't know.
It all depends on the amount of devices that are out there. So,
Yeah.
In theory, there is no capped supply of DeEEP tokens, right? So if we have 10,000 devices, it's whatever is minted on those 10,000 devices. So each device has a certain amount of tokens that gets minted from that device. So if we're growing, then obviously there's more tokens that are needed in the ecosystem. Hence, they get minted on those devices. They do get lower in terms of the plugin rewards and whatnot as the amount of devices that get out into the ecosystem. So, yeah.
Good point. Yeah, so your plugin rewards do expire. So each device has a limit to how many plugin rewards, not hosting rewards or utilization rewards, just the plugin rewards.
Right.
That way, it's, the first devices mint a lot more to kick off the ecosystem, and the later tiers will mint less. It's almost nothing.
Yeah, so the emissions actually get lower as the network grows. So
yeah, they get lower by a lot.
Okay. William has a good one. Do you think gaming has missed this cycle? Well, since I've been in the Web3 gaming ecosystem basically since the get-go of when it came into fruition, I think you've seen gaming really change a lot. Like from the beginning of play to earn, where it was literally just you're farming tokens in a crappy game, to stuff like off the grid, where it's a gaming ecosystem where people are playing a first person shooter and it's running on the blockchain. Like the transactions are running on a blockchain and people didn't even know it, right? They did a very good marketing campaign that went through with that. Now you're seeing them actually sell, like their NFTs are tradable and sellable and stuff like that. So you're seeing more of the asset side of Web3 gaming come into fruition. And, Star Atlas has a pretty interesting, I think, tokenomic structure with it. They're successful. They're still doing their thing and growing and building and creating more stuff with it. So I don't think it's missed the cycle. I think it's changed, right? And so it's not the play and earn and farm out stuff like it was in the very beginning. It's a different ecosystem, and you have to really look at it more of, and I've talked about this a long time ago, of it's unsustainable for that play to earn side, right? It has to be more of the idea of like you own what you played for. And if you go and you play a game and you pay, $1,000 over 5 years on this game, buying different things, you actually own that stuff. You may only get $250 back if you sell it, or $500, or maybe you sell it for $10,000. Who knows? Because you got super rare stuff. But you have that ability to do that, right? Perfect examples are people that would played Fortnite from the get-go, right? And they had accounts that were built up that they could sell, but they had to sell their whole account, and they were selling it for $500, $1,000. The gaming ecosystem, I think, needs to change into terms, and people need to realize it's not that play and earn and just take those tokens out of an ecosystem. And it's more of that ownership of what time I put into that game. And that's just my take, really. So
it's also not just gaming, but it's more of like, have altcoins missed this cycle? Because that's really like where gaming tokens come in, and it's like, Bitcoin's all-time high and everything else is just flatlined. So
what are you talking
about?
Maybe,
gaming tokens, like,
what about Fartcoin, dude? Fartcoin's an altcoin.
Meme coins don't count as altcoins, and that's just like the 1.0001% of gambling tokens that shoot up.
Yeah, I think Bob asked this last time, and I love the question here, and I get it from a few people, and it's joining in on the AMAs, asking the questions here, talking with community members that are out there. If you see projects that you feel would be a great fit for partnerships, connect the dots. Let us know. Have us work in that sense. Talk to those other communities about what we're doing here. Be a part of both communities. Push it out there. Ask us questions. Like we're open. We try to be as transparent as possible with everything that we're doing. So, come to us with questions, and we want to answer it and really help grow other communities as well. Because when they grow, if we can help them grow, it helps us as well. Like it pushes everybody forward. So the old adage of a rising tide lifts all ships, that's really true when you're working together, right? It really helps out a lot.
If you're involved in any crypto community, NFT community or something, I guarantee you that any project is usually AWS for hosting. Like they're probably hosting their NFTs on AWS, or they have some servers that have data. They're using Amazon, right? Like, I mean, for sure. And it's like, well, why don't you guys use DeEEP? Oh, I know the founders of DeEEP. Like, look, this is their Discord. This is their send them to Nate. Little things like that, because then we can connect the dots and be like, oh yeah, why is everybody on crypto using AWS? That doesn't make any sense. So things like that. And if you have nodes or workloads or no friends that do, just tell them about DeEEP, put them on DeEEP. And then that actually helps the community, because the more workloads there are, the more rewards you get.
Yeah. So what bonuses do founders' devices get? And, in reality, there's two main ones in my eyes that founders' devices get off the bat that, that you get. One is it's the cheapest that the device is ever going to be, right? So the DIN NFT was included with that, which is the software. The hardware itself, we made it extremely low in terms of what we did to put into it, and time and shipping and everything else like that. So it's the cheapest you're ever going to get it. Plus, you're in and earning those plugin rewards before mainnet goes live, and the mainnet plugin rewards get. So you're actually earning extra plugin rewards before TGE. So those two things are a pretty big deal when you look at where we're going with everything else. There's we're always talking about other things that founders' devices can get. We have to make it so it makes sense, and it's not just some random like, hey, we're just going to give extra tokens out. But whenever we talk to different companies for partnerships and things like that, we always have founders' devices known as, if we can add extra bonuses in there, we want to do that. Like NFT drops are things that I've talked to some other companies about, where they're pushing stuff out. Well, what are they going to get in terms of can we send something out to the founders' devices? Is there an NFT drop we could push out there? So I personally have a project a separate project I'm pushing out, kind of incognito right now, that actually is going to benefit people that have founders' device. So, if you're part of another group that's going on in there, it'll benefit that. But there's things like that we want to work with that definitely benefit founders' devices. But the main two are cheapest it's ever going to be, and you're getting extra plugin rewards before the TG event goes live.
And they don't founders devices don't have to stake if they want to do the voting.
So you start talking about the DAC and voting rights and stuff like that. So there are staking requirements for other than founders devices. So founders devices just get a vote. They're also probably going to get a multiplier in their vote compared to other devices. And other devices will have to stake DeEEP to be able to vote as well. And founders devices will not have to stake DeEEP. So that is a part of one. Thank you, Manny. There's probably more, because we talk about all sorts. So every time we talk about, well, what can we get founders device? What can we get founders device?
Yeah,
so
just whenever we talk about something, it's like DIN license NFTs. It's like, okay, cool. Like when we make them, how many could we get to just give to founders devices, like for a giveaway, right? And you're only eligible if you have a founders devices, things like that. So whenever we have something in mind, how do we benefit the founders devices? Because you guys are essentially the initial support to kick off the movement. And so we see that.
We've also talked about giving them rewards for like testing and such, for using the founders devices as like the first round of testing, in which we would reward you guys for. We haven't actually implemented that yet, but that's something we've talked about.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about having multiple IPs on a single IP? I know there are reduced rewards. Can you go into that and any other issues that could present? So we know there's people that bought multiple devices. I think right now we're at 1.5 per person, essentially, when you extrapolate it out to the devices throughout. I personally am one that I bought multiple devices myself, and having an IP is crucial for some workloads and some not. So there's a potential that the decreased workload will happen because you don't have multiple IPs. We've talked about internally ways that we can help out people that have bought multiple devices. And one of those is clustering. Whether we do that or not, we don't know. One of the reasons we wanted to have the IP in there is to decentralize the network, right? We don't want to make it so it's literally going out and whales are buying all of the devices. So we want that IP to be a big factor in terms of people that are buying these devices and running them correctly. So there are some things that are out there that we're talking about, but as of right now, you're going to want to have an IP per device. So
I know I just bought a block of 29 IPs from AT&T, and I think it was only $45 a month for 29 IPs, to give you guys a data point.
Nice. Manny, you want to take this?
Yeah. So like your device name is your hardware and your like the barcode serial number. It grabs pieces of that. It also grabs pieces of the actual hardware inside the device, and that's how the device name is generated. It's just so that you don't have to, do all that. But yeah, that is how it's tied to that.
Nice.
That's how we know that your device is part of the founders' devices. And yes, all devices are currently founders' devices. Dave hates that name. He wants to change it.
Freedom devices.
He wants to make it freedom devices. And so when we launch the Decentralized Autonomous Corporation, Nate is going to put up a vote for the community to rename founders' devices to freedom devices.
Give founders rare traits. Ultimately, you guys already have your DIN NFTs, right? That's essentially what your DIN NFT is going to look like. It's the name. So, we won't change that and can't change that. So, it's tied to your device. So,
it's tied to like the literal hardware and the serial number of the device that you have.
Right. So, yes, all current devices are founders' devices. Yep, every single one is. mainnet, another TG. So we talked about that earlier on, Miguel. I don't know if you listened to the earlier one, but fall time. We're just gonna put fall time out there. It might happen earlier. It might not. So cool. I got the new shirt
I like your
on, man.
shirt, Nate.
Yeah. I had to order a bunch of larges because you didn't order enough larges. So I had to order some so I could give. I promised a few people some larges, and I was like, "Where's the larges?"
We ordered
You're
a
like,
bunch
I
of
ordered
larges.
two. I ordered 2 larges. I was like, "Why you ordered 2 larges?"
No, we ordered a bunch of larges. It's just that this is the most common size, so they're all gone.
This is a great question. What should we be asking? We are not. It's a
It's
good question.
a good interview question too.
You should be asking. Let's see. What's the weather like? No, that's boring. I don't know. You guys are pretty good. Those are pretty good questions. I think.
No, instead of asking, you should be telling us like, hey, so AVAX, we are building on AVAX.
Yeah.
Let us know what. There's a lot of projects building on AVAX. AVAX is kind of, just building over here, doing some amazing stuff, and like nobody pays attention to it. But it's like all these projects are building there. A lot of them are going to deploy validators, nodes, workloads, and we're building on AVAX, so we're going to have validators on AVAX. So we're trying to bring them on board. So what you tell us what you're passionate about. Hey, this project is doing some really cool stuff. It might not be a workload. It might be it's a cool NFT project, and I'm pretty sure all their NFTs are being hosted on Amazon. We could bring those on board.
Yeah, the L1 that runs all L1s, right? Ultimately, that's the play that we're going to go. There's going to be a lot of marketing around that. You'll see that for sure. So I want shirts. I'm going to have shirts, but Germany is too far away. I'm pretty
You
sure.
can buy shirts.
Yeah,
I have a shop link. It's not quite public yet because I haven't had the time. But if you want to buy a shirt, you could absolutely buy a shirt. We usually want to give away the shirts, but
it's a good question. So, what if your founder's device has failed or got lost or stolen? How do you replace it? Well, ultimately, the device itself, like if it was lost or stolen, this is something I got to really talk with Ben on, like kind of that protocol that goes on there. Like once it's in your hands, we don't have anything to do with where it goes after that point in time. So we do have access to like shut down that server, right? We can shut the server down, or once we get the ability that you can transfer, which is something that we're talking about, so transferring your DIN NFT. So if you still have your wallet and everything that you have there, so even if they get your device, they have to get into your account to be able to log into the DeEEP dashboard, which will give you all of your wallet access and everything like that. So as long as you have that stuff, you'll still all your stuff will be safe there. The actual hardware is replaceable. So that's something we can deal with. But the actual protocol for that, I don't know what Ben has set up for that. We'll have to get a better answer for you there, Nazareth.
But if your computer gets stolen, like we can't quite replace that.
We have access to those wallets on like the DeEEP dashboard.
Yeah, the wallets. I mean, like the computer. Like
the computer's gone. You'll have to buy a new computer, basically. Like you'll have to buy a new device. But as long as you have that DIN NFT, the access to the wallet itself, we can work with some stuff there. So, William, you're going to probably have to get a business line if you want more IPs. Will the DeEEP validators sit on DeEEP devices or open to other devices? Ultimately, the validators, I mean, we're going to have it so validators can be ran wherever you want to run them, right? It's kind of like an AVAX validator or a Beam validator or ETH validator. We're going to probably put out the protocol of what we require for you to run those, and you can run them on your own computer. It's just going to be a validator itself in the true nature of decentralization. We don't want all of those validators just to be on the DeEEP network, right? So you kind of want to push those out into different ecosystems as well. So
that's a good one. Yeah, no, we want to perform. In terms of workloads, is DeEEP looking to perform workloads for other chains other than AVAX? Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. Like we want to be open to any type of workload that's out there that people want to run on it. And again, I'm going to touch on this. This is, a question that's not asked. We're focused on Web3, but the Web3 ecosystem, the way we're setting up the backend is it's going to be like AWS. It's a virtual server. People that are using AWS will look at it like, oh, it runs the same way as anything else. So in reality, the network itself isn't just Web3. It's all services that use virtual servers, VMs through AWS, a Volta, or something like that. So the expansion isn't just nodes, isn't just validators. It's the company that has 6,000 restaurants that uses AWS for all of their cloud data and everything else that wants to decentralize it and push it out somewhere else. So it's not just, as we grow, you'll start to see things like that coming out, and that's a big growth potential there. So send you an I only bought largest, man. Sorry. No, you as an original founder device owner, do I need to buy an NFT? No, you will actually drop the NFT when we do this into your wallet that you'll have. So you'll have that DIN NFT in the wallet itself, and then the artwork will actually show up on your dashboard. So all founders, device owners, the software, and by extension, the DIN NFT was included in that sale.
Yeah, you'd only need to buy a DIN NFT license if you're going to buy a new hardware, like a new DeEEP device.
Yeah, so this was covered earlier too, Miguel, that we're going to start in decentralized exchange. So basically, if somebody wants to start a liquidity pool on a decentralized exchange, that's the way everything's going to start. We're not pushing centralized exchanges to begin with. We want the token to be traded organically and be utilized in the manner that we wanted it to be used, with NerdNode and other node as a service providers purchasing it to run workloads on the network first. So centralized exchanges will come later after we see it trading for a while there. So, all right, we're getting close to that hour mark. Unless we got any late coming questions, I think we can probably wrap it up. You guys got anything else you want to say? Oh, we got one more. Yes, this is a good question.
Yes.
I like this question. So are there plans to release developer docs for those that want to build on the DeEEP network? 100%. As the DAC comes to fruition too, like we're going to want to, like a lot of stuff that gets developed in there, we want the community and people that want to develop on it to put in proposals to say, hey, I can build this. I want to build this. Here's my proposal for it. Here's what I'm requesting for it. And it goes up to a vote. And then, 100%. If it gets voted yes, you can develop it. You can push stuff on there. You can develop it on the site. Or I already developed this for the DeEEP network. Can we use it? Yeah. This is a huge part of what we want to include in everything that we do here is the community involvement in that type of stuff. So
also we could use the community fund for things like this, where we could literally put a bounty for, a tech hurdle problem
100%.
thing. And if you solve it, then you would get that bounty of community rewards.
Yeah,
so,
this is a huge discussion internal. Like we love this idea. Like again, community is monster in everything that we can do, and we want to bring you guys on board for that. So Jacob cries, if you're looking to trade on a DEX, is it going to be native to AVAX? Yes, 100%. But with anything nowadays, chains are chain agnostic. Realistically, like you can move your SOL to AVAX instantaneously with I just forgot the name of it. There's a few of them out there, but the main one I use is on Jupe. What is it called? dBridge. Like with dBridge, essentially you're just trading cross chain, super low fees, and you're going from one chain to the next instantaneously. It's better than bridging. Ultimately, they're using liquidity pools from each end, and tying those together. So it's a fantastic way to use it. So it will be native on AVAX, but I wouldn't worry too much about if you're not a big AVAX fan. Everybody likes SOL. They love SOL. SOL's the way to go, but SOL just doesn't do everything we want it to do. Yeah, I think I just answered that. You're looking for cross-chain. Yeah, it'll end up being cross-chain if you don't like it. But AVAX is a growing community. They got a ton of stuff on there. So we're super excited to build with AVAX and everything they got going on. You'll start to see docs roll out real soon in terms of what we're looking as structure-wise of what it's going to look like in the structure. voting rights, how to put proposals in, that type of stuff. You'll see that over the summer. That's another big event that's going to be going on this summer, talking about the DAC and how that's going to operate. So a lot of stuff for the summertime. So right now, I talked about this earlier, right now, target customers in business, Miguel, are Web3 side, like nodes and validators, but you'll start to see, within the, 6 to 12 month mark, anybody that uses a virtual server, like any company that uses a virtual server, instead of wanting to use AWS, they can use the DeEEP network. So realistically, it's a very large target customer. So I think it was alive for 5 days and then it stopped fire. I think Rusty turned you off for some reason. Why'd you turn him off, Rusty?
I don't know. I was just feeling like it.
You probably need to just unplug it and reset it, but go to the Discord and open up a ticket.
So yeah, a lot common things. Sometimes devices it doesn't happen super often, but I do see it time to time where a device is working good for a little while and then it just stops pinging. When that happens, try a few things. Restart it, as Manny said. Sometimes Ethernet cables fail and ports fail too. So when you're troubleshooting, those are some of the basic things. Like try a different Ethernet cable, try a different port in your router, your modem, or your switch to get you back online. And if those don't work, hit me up.
I like this idea. Jacob cries. Would be nice to see a bounty for a locked liquidity pool. I don't know the legalities behind that though. So one of the reasons why we want to go the DEX way, and let it naturally progress is if we have any interference with price fixing, like we set a price for stuff and do things like that, there's legalities behind it that we don't want to get involved with. So essentially, the community has to start that stuff and push it out there. But I'll look into this and kind of see what the legality side of that, because I do like the idea of that, the bounty for that. So the DeEEP network is going to be its own sovereign L1 on AVAX. So we're going to be running our own L1. Miguel asked, do you plan on making DeEEP network a blockchain itself? So that was the answer to that. So. Rusty, you want to take this one?
Do you plan to make DeEEP?
Oh, this is okay. I read it wrong. I read it the first time.
Are the rewards retroactive? I've had my device plugged in for over a month and have to wait for mainnet to earn the plugin rewards. So you're earning the DeEEP to the device, right? And so you see the days online ticking up, and you got to make sure it's alive. So pretty much once we hit TGE, we'll take if you have 1 device or 10 devices, it doesn't matter, and you'll be able to unlock and claim those tokens right at TGE. Does that answer your question, Jacob?
Yeah, I think that's what he's asking. It's pretty solid.
And then if there's any other points that you deserve or have earned over that period, that's when you get those as well.
Yeah, like the very original, before we started going with Helium Deploy, we had a 11/11 kind of referral bonus. So there's people that will earn extra on that one. So then that'll be dropped in too. So. All right. I'm going to call it because I'm hungry. I need lunch. All right, gents. Thanks for everybody for joining us.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you.
Yeah. I appreciate all the questions, and we'll do these, every couple of weeks and get those questions answered. Thank you, everybody.
Have a good day, guys.